Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really pulling back the curtain on something fundamental. We're looking at those invisible structures, the unspoken rules, the subtle power dynamics behind some of history's most effective groups. Our mission here is to decode the masterminds, those often unseen forces behind great leaders, how they use social influence, build alliances, use mentorship, basically how they rise, lead, and transform things.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really striking, isn't it, is that leadership, well, it isn't just about one person being brilliant.
Right.
It's so often the systems, the relationships around them that truly amplify their impact. So today we're setting the stage to explore how these seemingly individual achievements are actually, often the result of really powerful collective dynamics.
Okay, so let's dive right into that. Influence. It feels like the core of leadership. But maybe not the loud, obvious kind we first picture. Real influence, especially in these mastermind contexts, is often moved silently. It works through something psychologists call social proof.
Ah, social proof. Yeah.
It's like you walk past a packed restaurant and you just instinctively think, oh, that place must be good. So how does that silent influence actually work when we talk about leadership?
Well, it's really all about how credibility compounds. It's kind of a ripple effect.
Okay.
So when other people support your ideas, or they follow your moves, or maybe just publicly associate with your vision, your own credibility doesn't just add up, it actually multiplies. Exponentially sometimes.
Okay, so it's snowball.
Exactly. Their belief validates yours. Think about figures like Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey or even Mahatma Gandhi. Their huge influence wasn't just some personal magic trait they had.
Right, it wasn't just them.
No, it was deeply amplified by the minds, the networks, the movements around them. And that's the core of this mastermind effect. One voice, sure, it has power, but many aligned voices. That's when things can become, well, almost unstoppable. Great leaders, they seem to get this instinctively. They don't just lead in a vacuum. They carefully curate this whole ecosystem that reflects and reinforces their credibility. They know the crowd's belief becomes their power in a way.
That's a really powerful idea, how credibility compounds like that.
Yeah.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How might this be shaping our own interactions, maybe right now in our own spheres?
Yeah.
Because if influence is amplified by our network, well, that leads us straight to the next really crucial piece, doesn't it? It's also clear that this kind of greatness, it almost never happens alone. No mastermind is really a solo act.
That's right.
So we're talking about scaling up through strategic alliances. And these aren't just, random friendships or convenient meetups.
No, not at all. And what's really compelling when you look closely at these strategic alliances is their specific nature. They're profoundly complementary, and maybe even more critically, they're built on what you could call radical clarity of roles.
Radical clarity, so like super defined roles.
Yeah. Exactly. Almost uncompromisingly clear. Who does what and why. There's ideally no ambiguity, no stepping on each other's toes, just total focus within each person's area.
Okay, got it.
Think about examples like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, or Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu, even Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. These weren't just single figures working alone.
Right, they're iconic pairs.
They are. And inside these powerful groups, influence isn't dominated by one person. It's carefully distributed. Often you'll see, say, one person leading the vision.
The big picture person.
Yeah. Then maybe another really anchors the execution, making it happen day to day. And sometimes there's a third who's crucial for connecting the whole thing to the outside world.
Different strengths.
Absolutely. And connecting this back, these collective efforts are what really shape things. Revolutions in tech, politics, art, finance, you name it. Great leaders, the really smart ones, they don't seem to fear sharing the stage. In fact, they often actively expand the table.
They bring more people in.
Yes. And by doing that, they multiply their collective impact. It's not zero sum.
It really highlights that quiet power of having defined roles, doesn't it? Knowing that, it makes you wonder, what kind of strategic alliances might you consider building? Understanding that huge advantage shared, clear leadership brings.
That's a key question.
And speaking of advantages over the long haul, let's shift focus a bit. How do leaders keep that influence going, maintain that impact long after, the initial splash or the applause dies down?
Right, sustainability.
Yeah. And it seems to boil down to two pillars, really, mentorship and just continuous lifelong learning.
This is where I think influence really gets baked into a lasting legacy. The best masterminds, historically speaking, think Benjamin Franklin's Gento Club, maybe.
Oh, yeah, the Gento Club.
Right, or even modern peer advisory groups you see today. They all provide something absolutely essential: safe spaces.
Safe spaces, meaning?
Meaning environments where you can get truly honest feedback, where insights are shared openly, where there's room for deep, reflective learning. In those kinds of settings, growth stops being just an individual thing and becomes a collective asset. Oh, okay.
Like a shared resource.
Exactly. What one person figures out or breaks through on becomes fuel, knowledge, inspiration for the whole group. It's like a shared intellectual battery pack, maybe.
I like that analogy.
Over time, every individual in that kind of system, they evolve far beyond what they likely could have achieved alone. And this continuous collective development, that seems to be the secret to enduring impact.
So what does this mean for you listening? It really underscores how important continuous development is, but also, crucially, the kind of supportive learning environment you choose to be in. Not just about what you know, but maybe who you're learning and growing with.
Absolutely. So if we try to bring this all together, leadership fundamentally isn't just about having charisma or, being able to control people.
Right.
It's much more about understanding that intricate web of relationships, the connections that really allow groups to thrive. Behind pretty much every great leader, if you look closely, you'll find a robust structure, a dynamic network of thinkers, challengers, mentors, allies.
The whole ecosystem we talked about.
Precisely.
And maybe here's the big insight to take away from this deep dive. Power, when you share it intentionally, it doesn't actually weaken you.
Quite the opposite.
In fact, it multiplies.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
So as you go forward from here, maybe ask yourself, who's in your mastermind? Are you actively building those strategic alliances? Are you learning, teaching, evolving together?
Because influence, ultimately, it isn't some magical gift people are just born with. It's a system. And the people who learn to build that system wisely, strategically, with real intention, well, they're the ones who end up shaping the future. Perhaps think about how you can start building or strengthening your own systems of influence.